Hi, I'm Amirhossein Shahri. I'm here with reviewing one other art, which is Godzilla Minus One movie, which I watched it 2 days ago and which was fantastic. And I would recommend you 100% to watch it. But why? Let's figure it out. Alright, let's get into it. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. So Godzilla Minus One was fantastic. And why? For many reasons. One of them was it was loyal to the original story. I don't know for what reason Hollywood tried all these years to change the narrative, change it a little to make it look like more American Godzilla, or I don't know. I don't know even, I cannot find any reason what was wrong with original Godzilla that you had to change it to a new version of it. And I think over the time, slowly they brought back some of the features that the original Godzilla story is originated in Japan after World War II, after nuclear bombs. So in the ocean, something happened. So, you know, some organism with the radiation could combine, and with some chemistry, poof, that's a Godzilla, the giant you have. So like I think they made the Godzilla Minus One because to celebrate 70th anniversary of Godzilla. But let's get into it. One of them is the character development was fantastic. New Godzilla that we see, they have a bunch of characters, they have a couple of lines, and they have some shady, some cliche story between each other. But in the end, the whole movie is just those giants fighting each other, right? As if you are watching anime. But in this one, you saw really humans, how they reacted to it, how they were talking, and the story behind them, and how they were related to the Godzilla. And it was fantastic. I really love that. When you see like those characters are developed in the way that in the end of the movie, you could see everything get into one piece and makes sense. One other thing is like, because the movie is like around 1946, 1947, after World War II, not only they made everything look like the Japan at that time, but also they made the culture, the way they were talking, also like that. So it was like, maybe for us right now, the way they were talking in the movie is too much, but it basically is how they talk back in the day, how they treated each other back in the day. It showed that to the Hollywood, even with $50 million budget, you can make something crazy like that. CGI perfect, characters perfect, actors nice, everything was good. So you can make good movies with the lower budget. You don't need to pay a couple of $1 million just because they have big names. Anyway, one problem that I have with the Godzilla movies that are being made in Hollywood is like 2014, everyone was talking about Breaking Bad, so they brought Bryan Cranston, Heisenberg.
You're goddamn right.
So they brought him there because he was famous, so they wanted to use his image so they can sell more of Godzilla instead of focusing on the story to make it more interesting. And then next Godzilla, there was like character 11 from Stranger Things, and after that one of the Lannisters in the Game of Thrones, and so on. So you see, like, instead of focusing on the story to make it more interesting for all ages, they try to bring superstars so people go watch it for the superstar, and in the end even they don't use them. If you see their lines, their story, it's so cliche, everybody could play that, right? But in this movie you really can see like the emotion, the rage, the love, the hate, the hope, the sadness, all of them you can get it from the characters. Other thing that I really like right now, for example, in newer Godzilla you see the nuclear fusion, but the previous ones, like, they didn't have anything like that. And then you were saying like, where is the fire, where is the nuclear fire or nuclear fusion? And I said, well, come on bro, you're saying one animal, one creature can throw a nuclear fusion out of its mouth?
What?
Dude, we are talking about the Godzilla, of course. What in Godzilla is real that now you are worried about this part to not be too realistic? Everything about that is fictional, right? So I guess that was very cool, to the way that it was using the nuclear fusion was exactly the way that it was in the original Godzilla. And then it comes from the tail, the spikes goes up, and then gets from the waist, come up to the throat, and then he throw it. The only, challenge that I had for the movie, like, how did they find out it takes a few minutes for the Godzilla to regenerate, to recharge its power? Because every time Godzilla used that power, after that he was gone. It wasn't like still the war was going on, but he couldn't do that. So when he used that fusion, when he used that power, after that was the end of the battle at that time, at that scene. So there was no way for you to see that he wanted to do that, but he couldn't. But in the end of the movie, somehow they predicted that it takes time for him to regenerate. The other good thing about that was like, I really like that. So it showed Godzilla, actually that was news to me. In the beginning, before America was nuke testing on the ocean, the Godzilla was just something like a dinosaur living under ocean, right? And then it showed up and it was big, but just as big as dinosaur, like T-Rex, let's say, right? But after that nuclear test on the ocean, what happened was like it affected him, so it made him even bigger and gave him that ability to use that nuclear fusion. Because in the beginning, when it's at size of the dinosaur, he couldn't do that. That was really interesting to me. And one other thing is, like, of course, Godzilla first was a bad character, a villain, but in the end they realized that they really love Godzilla, they want to see more of Godzilla, but they cannot, every movie they make about Godzilla, a bad creature comes out of ocean, dies, and then end of the story. So they try to change the narrative and shift it to the good character, and so they had to make another giant, and then another giants. The giants, so Godzilla as a good character, fight with them. It's not only unique to the Godzilla, it's not only for Godzilla. You can see it in Marvel, Venom was a bad character, but after that, when they really liked him, fans of Marvels, so they made him a good guy, and Tom Hardy was playing him. But in this one, just like the original Godzilla, he's a bad guy, bad creature actually. And then what happened was, you could see really the story, how it was going from the beginning to the end. Like, so when they made the Godzilla a good creature, right? So they made him too good. Even if you have the trained tiger or lion, still you are careful if you go to the cage. Like instructor, they said don't touch this, don't touch that, even though it is he's or she's trained, but they still something can happen, can lose its mind, because it's still it's animal in the end of the day. But the Godzilla that we saw in the Hollywood movies was like, even Godzilla was careful to not step accidentally on the humans, and was making sure to have the least damage, to give the least financial damage to the infrastructures, to the buildings, to the town, and only those bad creatures that were destroying the town. But it's not the case. Godzilla is not like a prophet or saint or something. Like, it's an animal, probably would step on the people, would step on the building. So it wasn't very appealing the way that they were showing it in the Hollywood one. But in this one, showed that how cruel it is, because it's just a creature, animal, like wouldn't care about human life. Just is here because he feels like they are threat to his territory. So he wanted to just, instinctively show who's the boss over there. And then one other thing that I really like, it's Godzilla movies in the Hollywood, like in 2014 one, and they say, what should we do? How can we stop them? And say, let them fight.
Let them fight.
It is the boxing ring? Is it the UFC cage? What is that? Is it just city, town? People are living there. Like, a whole economy is relying on that. Like they were saying, evacuate the city and let them fight over there, as if it is the battlefield. So that was the solution they provided in the 2014 one, the Godzilla. But in this one, they really came with the logical, reasonable plan to stop Godzilla. It would make sense. It would say, if hypothetically that was a Godzilla was coming to the town, how could people stop him? Another reason, as I mentioned, let them fight. So all the armies, militaries, all the war, they were just observers watching them beating each other in the town and tearing down all the towers. But in this one, they try to bring down to the minimum damage to the city, to the people. And also, it was really logical why other countries didn't come. Because, yeah, Godzilla is big, but if whole world, they see the common threat, they could get united together and then somehow they could destroy Godzilla. Because America was worried about Soviet Union, and Soviet Union was still in the Cold War and something like that, had beef with America, so they tried to not get close to Japan because the other one would have excuse to invade the other one. It makes sense because that was just right in 1947, right after World War II. And even Japan, because of those limitation regulation they had after World War II, after they failed, so I mean, it made sense they wouldn't have that much power. So a couple of people, they got together and they tried to stop the Godzilla. And then the best part was, like, in the Godzilla, really, when you see in the Hollywood, they don't have any plan. They just fight until somebody beat the other one. But in this one, they had plan A, plan B, plan C. And exactly how it should be if you're dealing with a giant, unknown giant. So you better come with some reasonable plan, explanation, how you can approach to your plan, what are the difficulties. Like, it really makes it, you really felt like you are in it. Also, one other thing that was fascinating to me about the story, so the main character was a pilot, kamikaze pilot. And in World War II, he was afraid of dying. So he said, oh, something happened to my plane. That's why he didn't crash to any Navy, any ship. And he came back, but they realized that was no problem. Also, on the other hand, he was blaming himself that his friend died while he was alive. Also, you know, his story is written by victors, right? So kamikaze is known as a bad people, like a bad pilot, right? Doing evil things, like basically jihadis of Japan. So it had to come to the point, he's not the villain, he's the hero, but he was doing something bad as a kamikaze pilot. So how they made it to keep the narrative that being kamikaze is the bad, but he's not the bad guy. But also, if Japanese people, they came and say, yeah, good thing that you didn't do that and we failed at World War II. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, why dying when you can live? Then you wouldn't understand. You would say probably people would change that. So how they could, the movie could bring all these contradictions together without having conflict together. So kamikaze is bad. Japan lost. Japanese people blame those kamikaze who didn't do their job. But in the end of the day, the kamikaze, which is a bad thing, the pilot of kamikaze turned out to be a good guy. But in the end, you don't see any conflict between them. You can understand whole scenario instead of saying no, actually kamikaze was bad, changing the narrative, or saying oh, he was a very bad guy in the beginning and he you know, like sometimes even they cannot develop the character the way that even good character, because of the mistake that he has done in the past, looks like a bad guy that deserved to die. You don't see any of them. It's so smooth, comes out of like bad people try to leave, but still people blame on him. But then he turned out to the hero without killing any human, but fighting a Godzilla. Those things that they contradicted each other, still you wouldn't feel any conflict between those different narratives. Still would make sense. You wouldn't feel like Japanese people were bad people for saying you didn't blame that pilot. Also, you wouldn't feel like kamikazes, they were good people because he was kamikaze and he's a hero of the movie. You don't feel any of those contradictions. And you see everything makes sense together in one piece. And I would say in its genre, I give 10 out of 10. It's very hard to make one Godzilla movie 2 hours and it still be interesting every single minute of that. And it wasn't like, okay, I want to see more Godzilla. Like if you go to the cinema for Hollywood movies, you just want to see more Godzilla movie because you are not interested in the plot, in the story. You just want to see giants fighting each other. But in this one, you really cared about characters. So there was more interaction between humans and giants instead of them just let them fight. And we just sit back, eat popcorn and watch them destroying the town and at the end say hooray for the winner. I would definitely recommend that, especially as I said, with $50 million budget, making that masterpiece is something hard, especially in its genre. So I think that would be some poking, like warning, like, hey, there are other industry with the 1/10 of your budget, they can make a movie better than you. So you better, instead of just relying on celebrity's name to, oh, we brought this character, this name, this celebrity to the movie, so you better come pay the tickets. Instead of that, a little put so much effort. I think it is so one-dimensional Hollywood. They don't even challenge themselves. They say whatever we make, they are obligated to buy that. But I think with raise of those industry in the Asia, Eastern Europe, or even Western Europe, like in Germany, I think we're gonna see more competition, and hopefully we're gonna see more movie like that with more quality, regardless of the plot, regardless of the genre. Even if it is something like Godzilla, all fictional, but still you can relate to it. I hope you like that. If you like that, please press the like button and then leave the comment if there is any movie that you are interested in commenting on that. And then please don't forget to subscribe. I hope to see you next time. Thank you.